to get started with Illustrator, we're going to start off by clicking Create New, and this will provide you with a box where you can add the title of your illustration. I'm just going to call this one Map Pin because that's what I'm going to create. I'm going to leave the width and height at 1280x720, as we know that's a good screen size, and I'm going to click Create. Okay, so if your artboard is slightly off center like this one, you can go down the bottom left hand side and you can click Fit to Screen, and that will fit your artboard to the screen, because within Illustrator you're working with artboards. I'll click on that now. You can create a new artboard. You can have quite a few artboards open at the top, and we're working with layers, which is the same as Photoshop. Okay, so if you want to view the transparency of this, the background is automatically white, but you can click View and you can show the transparency within this area. There we go. If you're happy having the white, you can do the same thing again. You can hide the transparency grid. Okay, we can take that off later if you wish. A couple of things to note on here. If you're unhappy with the size of your artboard, you can change that by clicking on Artboards here, and that will allow you to drag the size of your artboard or change that. Okay, you can also change that within Artboards itself as well, and click here for the settings of your artboard. Okay, we'll close that down for just a moment. And we're going to start creating our image. So I'm going to create a map pin. So I'm going to start off with the ellipse tool. Just going to click on that, and I'm going to hold down Shift, and that will keep my circle perfect as I open it up. There we go. Once you have your shape, you can set the stroke and the fill color. So I'm going to set the fill color to black in this top area here, and I'm going to leave the stroke at black as well. But this brush, if we like, is a little bit perfect for me. So I'm going to go over brushes. And I'm going to change it just to a more of a rougher brush on the outside. Okay, do that now, or I can do it later. It really doesn't matter too much. So next, I'm going to create a triangle because this is going to be a map pin for the bottom. And there's no triangle option, but we do have a polygon tool, and I'll show you how that works now. So we click Polygon. Again, I've got black for my fill and black for my stroke. So when I hold Shift and drag this out, you'll see that that's what happens with the polygon. And within the polygon, you've got a couple of options here. You've got an option for rounding the corners, like so. And you have an option on one of the corners to reduce the number of sides. And there we go. So I'm just going to move this into position by using the selection tool. So I'll move that into the middle. And you'll notice that when I move it into the middle, a little line appears. It's called a Smart Guide, and if that's not open on your system, you can click View, and Smart Guides. So, triangles here. I'm just going to flip that round, and I'm going to resize it slightly, holding down Shift, and I'm going to move it into position like so. There we go. So that's pretty well lined up. I'm going to move it down just slightly. And then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to zoom in. Now, if I hold Alt, I can zoom in to make sure that this is lined up just right. So I'm using Alt and the scroll wheel there. And I can do the same thing again to zoom out. Or I can just come down the bottom here and click Fit to Screen again. Okay, so that's done. What we need to do now is just change the brush on that shape as well, which I've just done. And I'm going to select both of these shapes, and I need to make them as one. So I'm going to go down to my Pathfinder tool. Any of these tools, if you don't have them on your system, they will be available to drop on to the right-hand side within Window. And you've got loads of different tools there. There's your Pathfinder tool if you wanted to put that on. I've already got it pinned to the right-hand side here, so I'm going to click Pathfinder, and I'm going to click Unite, because I want to unite these two shapes. And I've done that. They're now one shape. Use my selection tool just to center this up a little bit. There we go. What I want to do next is I want to put a hole, as you would normally find in a map pin, through the middle of there. And I'm going to do that again just by drawing myself another ellipse. Dragging that out because I've got the smart guides on. It'll center that up for me. Okay, I change my brush again. And this time, I'm going to go to Pathfinder. And I'm going to minus the front from the back. Of course, I need to have both selected first. There we go. Okay. We've now got our first layer. Okay, so that's my layer one. What I'm going to do next, I'm going to go to create another layer. So I'm going to go to layers, and I'm going to click the new layer button. And I'm going to go to shapes next. I'm going to create another ellipse. Just going to open it out like so. This is going to be the bottom of my map pin. Again, I'm going to change the brush on that one. Okay, if you haven't got the brush that you need within brushes, you can click on this little icon here, and it'll give you lots of other different brushes. I quite like the vector pack brushes here. I'll give you the grunge brushes, which I already have out over here. Okay, so we've got that in, and what I want to do is I don't want to fill this at all, so I'm going to change that to look like that, and I can see that this line now isn't actually big enough, so I'm going to take that up to 2 points, 3 points. Yeah, I think I'm quite happy with that. And I'm just going to squash this down slightly just by holding there. Just make it look a little bit more realistic. Okay, so we're getting there now with our map pin. Okay, so that's on a separate layer. What I'm going to do next is I'm just going to put an arrow on, and I'm going to create a new layer for my arrow. You might ask why I'm creating new layers for these. Well, it's very simple. If you want to manipulate all three layers separately within a different program, for example, Premiere Pro or After Effects, you can save this Illustrator file, and you can literally take the Illustrator file from your desktop, drop it into After Effects, into the project folder, and you'll have access to the three layers rather than just one layer if you were creating it one. So what I'm going to do next is I've created that third layer and I'm clicked on it. So whatever I do on the canvas now is going to appear on that third layer. So I'm going to go to symbols. And if there's no symbol there that you want, you can click on this little button, which will give you the symbols library. And I'm going to do an arrow. I'm going to click on this arrow to drop it into my symbols area. And I'm just going to drag this arrow onto the canvas, like so. Use my selection tool to open that arrow up, put the mouse next to the edge, and I can angle that arrow how I wish. Okay, I want this arrow to have a tail as well, so I'm going to use the arc tool to draw a line from the arrow to there. Change the brush on that. There we go. Again, might want to just change the size of that line. Got them both selected together, so it's not giving me the option to change the size of that. And there we go. That's my third layer created. So again, if I want to show the transparency that's available, I will go to View, Show Transparency Grid, and you can see there is my transparent image. I can now click File, Export. Try that again. File, Export as. Call it my map pin, and I can export it as a ping or an SVG to create a vector graphic for web, if you wish to do that. Or Indeed, you can just click File, Save As, and save the Illustrator file itself, the AI file, to the desktop to use later within After Effects or Premiere Pro. That's it from me for this one. Thanks for watching.